Alright my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a fresh episode of our community build series, Jamii Conservation Park. Today is going to be something very, very different. As you can see, this is episode 5.5 and I'm going to kind of explain what this episode is in a moment and how often we're going to kind of do this sort of thing. But there's a couple of things I just want to bring to your attention first. The first one is that last episode is linked above, my friends. If you've not yet seen it, do continue to comment on that episode on things you'd like to see next time, and continue to vote on those polls because they will obviously run until we go into episode 6. Nothing that you've mentioned in that is going to be mentioned in today's episode. Also, a lot of people have been asking questions about where the Highland Zoo series is. I've taken a couple of weeks break from that series after I did the last zoo tour. The reason for that is that I'm actually thinking about doing that series live a couple of times in the run up to finishing it. I'm potentially going to do the next episode live as we do all of those little small jobs that I spoke about in last episode. So if you've not done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you are notified when that goes live. It's probably going to be one day next week, so do keep your eyes peeled for that. So that's the two things I just wanted to cover. Now, what is this episode? How often can we expect it? So basically, as the title says, this is going to be a zoo management episode. I'm going to leave it on pause so that it doesn't affect the integrity of the project. Basically, we only press play during the live section and when we're skipping forward years, etc, etc. So I'm not going to press play in this because I don't want to cheat the system and raise a load of money. We're going to leave it on pause. But basically what I want to do is sort of from this point in every 10th episode, so the next one you could expect would be like a 15.5, so to speak, is I want to jump in and do zoo management. Now this is going to be all the little small things that you don't get to see in the bigger episodes where we do the building and stuff. It's all going to be that behind the scenes stuff that you don't necessarily think about from a day-to-day sort of perspective. Obviously with the other episodes we all get very excited about building brand new projects, introducing new animals, so it's quite difficult. So I thought that this would be the perfect way for me to show you how the zoo's making money, where it's losing money, how many staff we've got, how the staff are operating, how many animals we've got, etc, etc. It won't be too long an episode, but I just think it's a great way for you guys to see exactly what's going on in the in JCP, and it's a great way for you to make subtle changes as well to pricing of things and the quality of certain issues and little things that we've got going on. I'm also, ladies and gents, from episode 10 going to be doing like a 10.5, which will be like a zoo tour. I'm probably going to do it cinematic. It will just be like one-off things sort of every 10th episode, so to speak. So yeah, I've got big plans obviously for this series, but just wanted to explain exactly what we're doing today. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of zoom in on JCP so you can see what's going on with basically with the guests first. You can do all this stuff by just like highlighting some heat maps and stuff. So what I want to do first and foremost is the negative the stuff that's having a negative impact on the guests. Now I don't know why, but for some reason it's been vandalized. That's why. Okay, so the security guard clearly hasn't done his job, but that's having a negative effect on guests. So yeah, basically what you can do is you can see items that are having a negative effect on your guests. Now, obviously, they're all very negative here because this has been broken, needs fixing, which is something that I have just kind of been doing myself, and I hope you guys don't mind that. I've been doing it during the live sections of each episode. I've just been going in, checking how many things are broken and fixing them. And obviously, we've got all of these items, ladies and gents. These are all staff items that have a bit of a negative effect on it, but I think the spacing's quite all right. It's not affecting any of the guests in any way, so really it is just this broken item here that is affecting the guests. So I am actually going to fix this because it's just it doesn't cost a lot of money. We've got the funds to do it, so we will just replace that. So that is done and dusted. That's fixed. The other thing that we can check while we're here is security, so we can see how much coverage and stuff we've got. So as you can see, we have got a fair bit of coverage where this is concerned now. A lot of people said that I needed to add cameras to the insides of the building. So what I've done is that, I think I did this last episode and just didn't show you guys. I've actually been putting the cameras in and then sinking them into the ceiling so they appear as if, they work like they would. You see these cameras around in shops, airports, that sort of thing. So yeah, I've kind of done that, so we have some very good coverage where the security is concerned. I'm not sure if you guys think we need any more, but do let me know if you think we do. The guests can't get to these areas, which is the reasons why I haven't put like the official cameras in, and instead I've put in the ones, these ones that look a bit more realistic, but I've kind of put them in instead because it's more for that aesthetical feel. And then there are loads of things that we can, there's loads of things like education. We can see where the guests are being educated, where they're getting their education. So as you can see, all these boards all over the place. Obviously, we've got the speakers as well. So there's a lot of education that the guests have got. You do let me know if you think we need more. And then the guest needs, basically, ladies and gents. These are going to be your happiness. This is obviously poor. This is good. And then you've got it around about in the middle. And I would say, on average, we're pretty good. We're in the green. But let's see what we think they need. Now, energy is pretty good, which basically means we've got enough sort of seating around at the moment. As far as hunger is concerned, so this is interesting. We only have the one restaurant at the moment. A lot of people have said that potentially sort of like we need a new restaurant, and I guess we will wait and see what the comment section says ready for next episode. But hunger's a big thing. First, the same because of the restaurants that we've got, and obviously toilets, we've got 2, so we're pretty good there. And then staff happiness, all the staff are pretty happy. No one's too overworked, but we will have to see if we've got enough staff in a moment. As far as the animal welfare is concerned, all the animals are pretty hunky-dory as well, ladies and gents, all looking really, really good, aren't they? Also, animal breeding. So anyone that's blue is carrying. So our Galapagos tortoises are pregnant. They're expecting. That's interesting to see. Habitats. I think they're all going to be okay for shelters. And the cleanliness is pretty good. Oh, there's quite a mess in there, but there's a lot of animals in there, which makes me think, though, that obviously the staff are not managing to get the work done because there might not be enough of them. So yeah, that's kind of the heat maps done. So I think the biggest thing we can take from that is that the one restaurant it isn't really servicing the guests' needs as much as it should. So obviously keep that in mind, ladies and gents, for future episodes. And do feel free to comment on this episode as well for things that you potentially want in the next one, because obviously we can sort of change them. But what I would do is if there's any management ones that you mention in this episode, I will change them before we jump into the next episode. I think that will be the easiest way to do it, because then we kind of counter all of the problems that JCP is kind of covering. And I hope you don't mind me abbreviating it to JCP. Jamii Conservation Park is a bit of a tongue twister, basically, and a lot to say every single time. But next up, ladies and gents, what I want to do is show you kind of like the zoo, an overview of the zoo, how it's doing, what we've got in place, how much people are paying for things. I think this would be quite an interesting thing for you guys to see. Now, first and foremost, you will see that the time it's open is between 5 and 11. So we're technically, we're earning money a lot longer, because believe it or not, this does actually work if you change the times. So obviously I'm not sure how many zoos are open that long and for those hours, so feel free if you think we should be changing the time of opening where the zoo is concerned. We're currently charging $12 for adults, $9 for children. Recently it has started to say that potentially guests think that it is a little cheap, so do keep that in mind. Guest happiness at the moment is at 77%. I think we could probably get that up with obviously changes to the restaurants, but interesting to see that is relatively high. What I would like us if we could get it higher, but yeah, it's relatively high. Obviously we've got 100% animal welfare because we've turned welfare off. But one thing I'm going to say, because it was kind of brought up in last episode, is that even though animal welfare isn't going to be like affected by any of the stuff that we essentially put in the habitats, we still have to put food items, we still have to put water in, because they can die of hunger, they can die of thirst. And I, for one, am still placing all of the things that they would need into the habitats, because I think that we still need to be serving the needs of the animals in a realistic way, and you just would add this. Someone thought that I hadn't added anything in the peacocks. got this kind of like walkthrough from last episode, but there is a water dish there. There's a food dish there. There is also sort of like some stuff up here, this little mirror thing up here, and there is another one. There's another like food tray hidden along here somewhere. There it is, another food tray there. So I have kind of like served the needs of all the animals. They're just being cleverly hidden and worked into each habitat, basically, for realism purposes, because a lot of zoos do try to hide food trays and things like that. So we are still adding that sort of stuff, just so you know that I'm not ignoring it just because welfare's turned off. The biggest reason we turned welfare off was so that we could make more realistic habitats that would fit the biome that we're in, which is Europe, and also so that we could make some of the habitats smaller, because personally I for one think that Frontier's sizing is way off for certain species. So that's the only reason we've done that, basically. Now as far as the staff are concerned, we'll come to that on a different screen. You'll see we're doing pretty well with our animal rating, conservation, education. Marketing's a little low, but really that's another sort of like behind the scenes thing that I will cover today in case people are not aware of it. And as far as guest happiness, it's pretty good. It's nearly there at 5 stars, ladies and gents. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Now the finances we're going to get into in a bit more depth in a moment. But as you can see, we are making a fair amount of money. Our cash flow is very, very good. We don't have any loans, and obviously we don't need to research anything because we are doing this via Sandbox. So next up, really, let's take a look at the finances so you guys can understand this a little bit more. Now, as far as marketing is concerned, you have all of these things that you can run, and you can run free campaigns at any one time. Now, last episode, I think it was John McLaughlin asked me to run a ad campaign in the newspaper, so I've started that. They run for a year, but I've left this on renew until you guys potentially want to add more or change it. I think at this stage in the series, I think a newspaper ad is pretty good because it's a relatively small facility. Obviously, we've gone from a sort of a rescue facility into now conservation facility, so that's open to the public. So I actually think a newspaper ad is about where we should be. But as you can see, you can do posters, cereal boxes, TV commercial for a comedy, a family, and a late night show, and then you can do online campaigns, so viral videos, and so on and so on. And so yeah, you've got all those options, ladies and gents, should you want to run any of them at a later date. Loans, I don't think we're ever going to need a loan. We are making serious cash at the moment. I just don't see us really needing a loan anytime soon. But as you can see, there are loans available. I'm not going to do the graph just yet. I want to explain how this is all working. So basically, our income is this, well, that's for this year, was 29,485, and our outgoings were 13,969. So we had a nice cash flow of nearly $13,500, which is an amazing amount of money to be making. Year on year. But this has obviously been different. As you can see, our cash flow was, different in these years, but we've been building. So when you build, obviously money gets taken away. So, like purchases, obviously construction costs. That's just in the last year, so obviously we kind of have to ignore, because I spent a lot of money, didn't I, like 100,000 or whatever it was on the last piece of building. And our outgoings at the moment are as follows. We've had no ticket refunds, which is good to see. Staff wages though, nearly 10,000 we're spending on staff wages. Obviously our marketing campaign has really just begun. We're doing 3,378 on animal food. Now, I'm going to show you something where animal food's concerned in today's episode that you might not know about, and then you can let me know your thoughts on what we should be doing with animal food. Power costs, and then you'll see the facility running costs and the scenery costs. So it costs money for us to, keep all of our scenery, which is essentially like your planting and things like that, all looking nice. Now, before I go on to our income, I want to show you basically what this animal thing is. So if I was to click on the door here, we can actually change the quality of the food that the animals receive. Now, obviously, I've left this as grade 1 because that's the default setting and no one's told me to change it. But there has been a comment recently regarding this, and so what you can do is you can change it to grade 2 or grade 3, and obviously you can see they get more expensive. So essentially this would up your outgoings every month. This would obviously bring the profits down, but it would mean at the same time that the animals were getting a better quality of food and would be essentially happier. So that is something to think about, ladies and gents, whether or not you want all of this changed. And I believe it's a different price for every animal as well. So obviously that was 200 for the finest food for that animal, but for the saltwater croc it's closer to 600 because the stuff they eat is more expensive. So these are all the little things that you have to keep in mind. I'm not sure what the gharials would be. Gharials, so if we were to get theirs, 3,239. And the reason for that is there's so many animals in there. It costs more for the more animals you've got in an exhibit as well. So you have to keep all these things in mind. Obviously they are on the lowest grade food that they can have at the moment. But obviously, if you guys want them to be eating the finest food, we could just upgrade all of it. And that's basically something I really think you guys really need to think about commenting on in the comment section so that I know. Because, like I've said, you guys are in charge of the management of the zoo. As well as what's being put in it, what's being built. You are completely in charge of absolutely everything. And these are the little things that I don't get to talk about in a usual episode. So if we go back to this, we now go to the income so you can see where we're making our money. Now, ticket sales, we're doing very, very well. Shop income, you'll see that the food shop is a little bit more prosperous, I guess you could say, than the drinks. We're doing very well with adoptions, which obviously we get for our ticket office, and obviously info kiosk is doing pretty well as well. But we make the majority of our money, as you can see, through donations, which I think is quite apt because obviously this is a rescue/conservation centre, and places like this do rely on the public to remain open and donations. From corporations and things like that. Obviously, we're going to slowly be turning this into a bigger zoo. We will probably join, the ADA and stuff like that. We would probably then be sponsored by bigger companies, but it is nice to see that, the majority of the money is being made because the guests are happy, essentially, ladies and gents, and they're happy to donate to the animals. So yeah, like I say, we're making a very healthy profit at the moment. We've got a lot of money in the bank. So if there were any changes that you wanted to be made to things like the quality of the food or staff wages, anything like that, then all you need to do is comment below and let me know what you think. The graphs are essentially, this is just kind of like a way of seeing how this is fluctuating up and down. As you can see, there was a big rise in between between quarters, basically there in year 35, and then it's kind of plateaued out into a line, and it's steady sort of just up and down. But that's just because basically it's all sort of in control. We can take a look at certain things by clicking off, and so if there is anything you want me to look at in particular for when we do this again in about 10 episodes time, then do let me know. As far as animals are concerned, this is how all of the animals are looking. Obviously, ignore welfare because we have it turned off, but there are other things that we can look at. Now, as you can see, the animal numbers have gone a little crazy. Obviously, a couple of animals have been put on contraceptive because we just have way too many, and I think we need to wait until these turn into adults, can send them to the wild, etc., and basically go from there. We do have exhibit animals. I'm not sure why this exhibit hasn't been named because, as you can see, I've named all the exhibits. But that's something I can do. We do have some exhibit animals, though. What I was going to say that are on their own because when you go to zoos, realistically they are, but someone has suggested setting up like a breeding centre so that we could still breed these species of animals, but it would be in an off-site facility that people don't see, and I really like that idea because it's still a good way for us to breed the animals, send them to the wild, trade with other zoos, but still make money and conservation points. So it's another sort of revenue stream, which I found really interesting, and I'm sure it's something that zoos do where they would breed animals behind the scenes as well as up front. So yeah, interesting option there. Also, Galapagos tortoises, as you can see, they've got some young as well, and then you've got the Gharials, they've gone a bit crazy. Again, they're on contraceptive now because we just got way too many of them. We need them to start turning into adults, basically, so we can start trading some of those out of the park. Then we've got the gears. They're at a nice number. So are the frogs, but we dealt with both those last episode. We've actually got 2 male Goliath frogs. So I want to offer this up to you guys. Do you think we should let one of them go and then we bring in a female and start breeding those as well? So let me know what you think in the comments. Obviously got our iguana. We've got our Mr. Peabody. I'm going to tackle his situation in next episode because comments are still coming in regarding him, and then we've got the same is I'm actually going to say the same can be said for the Komodo as well, and then we've got the other iguana, the other species of iguana. We've got Bindi, and then we've got the snake and the Nile monitor. And yeah, that's pretty much it where the animals are concerned. They're all pretty happy. All the habitats are doing okay. The condition of the Nile monitors is a little questionable, which makes me think that potentially the mechanics are slightly overworked, so something to think about. All these exhibits are pretty good, and then there's no animals in quarantine. And the last thing I really want to tackle with you guys is staff. And so I'm going to throw a suggestion out there, and I want you guys to let me know what you think of it first and foremost. But we actually have 2 cleaners, we have 4 keepers, we have 2 mechanics, 1 security guard, 4 guys working in the kiosks, and we have 1 vet, and they are servicing 53 animals. So what I want you to first and foremost let me know is, do you think that's enough staff? If not, let me know if you think more need adding, and then that's something that I will do in the live section of next episode. And next up is a suggestion from me. So what I'm thinking is, all of the original park staff that we introduced way back in episode 1, I think they are the only staff we should allow in this project to get to master level where the training's concerned. So obviously Dylan and Mary Ellen McCarza, they're already there. Trisha was our original cleaner. She's nearly at 4 stars. We've got Alison, who was our original mechanic. She's nearly at 4 stars. Obviously Herschel was our security guard who was introduced a little while back, but he was the first, so I think we should allow him to get to master level. All of these were our original, the ones that are on potentially nearly 4 stars, they were our original kiosk members, so I think we should allow them. And then you've got Melissa, who's our original vet, and I think she's at 4, we should let her get to 5. But any other staff members that get added from now on, including these ones that were added later, we only let them get to 4 stars maximum. I think because then this way it introduces an interesting dynamic where we have the expert zookeepers, we have your managers of your kiosk areas, and so on and so on. So that's kind of like a suggestion I'm going to put towards you guys. Let me know what you think, and if you like that idea, we will go with that going forward. Also, like I've said, let me know about staff levels. We currently have 2 staff rooms. They're not being overworked, they're very efficient. This one's in low demand. I believe that's the one over in this area. And then we don't have any work zones at the moment. If you think we need to start introducing work zones to make things more efficient, let me know which things you think need to be added in certain work zones. I haven't done it where this series is concerned. I've kind of let it just organically work itself out because the facility is not too big, but obviously when it gets bigger we may need to start introducing that. But that's it, ladies and gents. Research, we don't need to worry about that. As far as the facilities are concerned, you will see that there's pretty low demand on the ATMs, very high demand on the coffee and the chief beef. There's high demand for the information centre. We've got another one here that we can open. Do you think we should? Let me know if you think we should be opening the other one, which is basically this one here, ladies and gents. It's closed because when we first opened the JCP, there just wasn't the need for it. And then as far as the toilets are concerned, we've got one that's in low demand and one that's pretty efficient. So yeah, everything's working all right. I think the big thing we've taken though from this episode is that is the following, and I'm going to put a list of it on the screen now. So you're going to see, ladies and gents, on your screen, first and foremost, staff levels. Are the staff levels sufficient? And are you happy with me making the original staff master and the rest only go up as far as 4 stars? Next thing to think about is the pricing of the zoo. That's come up again. And also pricing of the shops. Do you think any of that needs moving around? Obviously, we are making a good amount of money. Animal food quality. Do you think we should put the food quality up for all the animals, because obviously they're at the lowest grade at the minute, but we are making sort of about 14,000's worth of profit every year, so we probably do have the capacity to do it. And I think that was it. Is there anything else? No, I don't think there is. But yeah, I think that's it. I think we're done for today's episode, ladies and gents. But yeah, it's been fun. I really wanted to do this because I want you guys, as I keep saying every episode, to be as involved as possible. I want you to see all these little bits and bobs that need doing. I hope this was easy enough to keep up with as well. Hope I haven't rushed anything, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I'll be back real soon with the official next episode, where we might be doing more building, we might not. We'll have to wait and see the results of those polls. It's really fascinating reading all your ideas, so do continue to get those in. But yeah, I'm done, my friends, for today's episode. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It would be really appreciated by your boy. Hit a like on the video if you've enjoyed it, and let me know as well in the comment section what you make of this episode, and if it's something you'd like to see every now and then. Yeah, bell notification button to never miss one. Socials and Discord in the description box, as well as the link to the grid, my friends. Make sure you go and download that if you want to try and do this and have a go at this yourself. But until next time, you make sure you stay an extra, and I'll see you real soon for episode 6 and what we do next.